Imagine two friends. We'll call them Mike and Dave. They grew up in the same neighborhood, graduated from the exact same university, with the exact same business degree, and by some crazy twist of fate, they even landed jobs at the same corporate firm on the exact same day. Their starting salaries were identical down to the penny. Fast forward 20 years. They are both 45 years old today. Let's look at Mike. He wakes up every single morning with a tight knot in his stomach. Before he even gets out of bed, he's checking his banking app on his phone, doing mental gymnastics to figure out which credit card has enough room to cover the groceries this week. He makes a great income now, top 10% in his city, but somehow there is always too much month left at the end of the money. He feels like he's running full speed on a treadmill, terrified that if he stops for even a second, he'll fall off completely. Then, there's Dave. Dave wakes up naturally, without an alarm. He brews a nice cup of pour-over coffee, sits on his porch and looks out at the morning. If he checks his financial dashboard, it's just to casually glance at a portfolio holding over $600,000. He has zero consumer debt. The car in his driveway has been paid off for 5 years. But more importantly than the numbers, Dave has absolute, untouchable freedom. If his boss yelled at him today, or if he decided he wanted to take 6 months off to travel the world, he could. He wouldn't miss a beat. How does a divergence like that actually happen? It's the exact same starting line, the exact same income trajectory, but a completely different universe of a result. I'll tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't a lucky lottery ticket. It wasn't a massive inheritance from a rich uncle who suddenly passed away, and it certainly wasn't a gamble on a meme coin that went to the moon. The radical difference between a life of constant financial panic and a life of absolute financial peace comes down to a handful of incredibly simple, almost boring rules. Welcome back to Grow with Tony. I'm Tony, and today we are stripping away all the complicated financial jargon that Wall Street uses to confuse you. We aren't talking about complex day trading strategies, options contracts, or fancy real estate syndications. Today we are focusing purely on the minimalist rules of money. These are the quiet, unsexy daily habits that actually build real, generational wealth. Just a quick heads up before we dive in. I am sharing my personal thoughts and educational concepts today, not giving you official financial advice. All right, let's get into it. Rule number 1. It is the absolute foundation of everything. I call it the golden gap. You have to spend less than you earn. I know, you probably just rolled your eyes or sighed. It sounds painfully obvious, doesn't it? It's like telling someone that to lose weight, they need to eat healthier. But listen to me closely, because this is where 90% of smart, hardworking people completely fail. The problem is not that people don't know they should save. The problem is a silent, deadly psychological trap called lifestyle creep. It sneaks up on you. It works a little something like this. Let's say you get a promotion at work. You've been grinding for 3 years, and finally you get a beautiful $1,000 a month raise. You celebrate. You feel great. But almost immediately, your brain starts playing tricks on you. Suddenly, your perfectly reliable 5-year-old Toyota doesn't feel good enough anymore. You're a manager now, right? You deserve an upgrade. So, you go down to the dealership and trade it in for a luxury SUV with a $900 monthly payment. What just happened? You wiped out your entire raise. Your income went up significantly, but your actual wealth, your net worth, stayed exactly the same, or even went backward. Society constantly feeds us this massive lie. It tells us that making a high income makes you rich. It doesn't. There are thousands of doctors, lawyers, and professional athletes out there making $500,000 a year who are secretly living paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because their lifestyle expanded to match and then exceed their new reality. The only thing that actually builds wealth is the gap, the space between your ego and your income, the literal distance between the money that hits your checking account on Friday and the money that leaves it to pay for your lifestyle. If you earn $1 million a year but you spend $1,001,001, you are broke. Period. You have to protect that gap with everything you have. Treat that gap like it is your most important monthly bill, because that gap is the fertile soil where your entire future grows. Without it, none of the other rules matter. Now, once you have fiercely protected that gap, you need to implement rule number 2. You must give every single dollar a job. Do not let your hard-earned money sit on the couch doing nothing. Think of your money as employees in your own personal corporation. Right now, if you have $20,000 sitting in a traditional checking account earning 0.01% interest, those employees are sleeping on the job. Worse than that, you are actually losing money every single day. There is an invisible thief out there, and its name is inflation. Inflation is the gradual increase in the price of goods and services over time. It's why a cup of coffee used to cost $1 and now costs $5. If your money isn't growing at a rate that beats inflation, your purchasing power is quietly bleeding out while you sleep. $10,000 today will not buy you $10,000 worth of goods 10 years from now. So, what's the minimalist approach to fixing this? You don't need 12 different brokerage accounts. You don't need to be glued to financial news networks watching stock tickers flash red and green. You just need to become the CEO of your money and assign tasks. Your dollars essentially have two main jobs. The first job is protection. The money you might need in the near future for emergencies or upcoming large purchases needs to be safe, but not entirely lazy. That money gets a job in a high-yield savings account. It's going to earn you 4 or 5% just for sitting there, and it's completely liquid when you need to grab it. The second job is growth. This is your long-term wealth building. This money needs to put on work boots and get to the construction site. The most proven, reliable way for an everyday person to do this is through low-cost index funds, particularly those tracking the S&P 500. When you buy an S&P 500 index fund, you aren't gambling on one risky tech startup. You are buying a tiny, fractional slice of the 500 largest, most profitable companies in the United States. You own a piece of Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and healthcare giants. You let the brilliant minds at those companies work for you. And the secret ingredient here is time. You let the absolute magic of compound interest do the heavy lifting for 2 or 3 decades. Warren Buffett himself has said that a simple index fund strategy will outperform almost any complex hedge fund over a long period. You don't need to outsmart the market. You just need to participate in it consistently. But Tony, you might be asking, what if the market crashes? What if the economy tanks tomorrow and I lose my job? That is exactly why rule number 3 exists. Before you do anything else, you must build a financial fortress. Before you try to conquer the investing world, you need a deep, wide moat around your personal castle. Most financial advisors call this an emergency fund. I prefer to call it the sleep well at night fund. Here is a harsh truth about life. It is entirely unpredictable, and it is going to punch you in the face when you least expect it. It is never a matter of if a crisis will happen. It is only a matter of when. Your car's transmission is going to blow up on a Tuesday morning. Your roof is going to spring a leak during a massive storm. Your beloved dog is going to swallow a sock and need immediate surgery. Or, perhaps most terrifyingly, your company might restructure, and your job could disappear by Friday afternoon. If you are living without a financial buffer, a minor inconvenience instantly mutates into a massive, life-altering catastrophe. Without that moat, people are forced into terrible decisions. They have to sell their investments at a massive loss because they need cash immediately. Or worse, they put that $5,000 emergency on a credit card charging 25% interest, triggering a cycle of debt that can take years to escape. You need 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses sitting in cash, not invested in the stock market, not tied up in real estate, sitting in a liquid, accessible account. This money is not meant to make you rich. Stop looking at it as an investment. It is an insurance policy that you provide for yourself. It is the armor that protects everything else you are building. When you have a fully funded emergency moat, your entire posture in life changes. You don't panic when the stock market dips. You negotiate your salary from a position of absolute strength. You can walk away from a toxic boss because you know you can survive for half a year without a paycheck. Build the moat first. Rule number 4. You have to slay the dragon. And the dragon is high-interest consumer debt. I need you to fundamentally change the way you look at debt right now. Debt is not just a math problem on a spreadsheet. Debt is not just a normal part of modern life, no matter how much banks try to convince you it is. Debt is your past self literally stealing from your future self. Think about that for a second. Every time you swipe a credit card for clothes you don't really need, or finance a luxury vacation you haven't actually saved for, you are binding your future self to a contract. You are forcing the future version of you to wake up, go to work, deal with stress, clock in, and hand over a massive chunk of their hard-earned paycheck to a bank, plus interest, just to pay for a memory or an item that might already be worn out. Now, to be clear, not all debt is malicious. A reasonable mortgage on a home that you can comfortably afford is generally fine, but consumer debt? Credit cards carrying 20% balances, massive personal loans, rolling car payments that never end, and those sneaky buy now, pay later apps, that is financial quicksand. It is designed to keep you trapped. You cannot gently manage high-interest debt. You have to attack it like it is an intruder in your home, because your financial freedom is literally at stake. Stop casually paying the minimum balance. Get aggressive. Cut up the physical cards if you have to. Stop eating out. Cancel the subscriptions. Pick up a side hustle for 6 months. Sell the clutter in your garage. Do whatever it takes, legally and ethically, to get that monkey off your back. Why? Because the moment you become completely consumer debt-free, a miracle happens. Every single dollar you earn finally belongs to you. If you are paying $800 a month in various debt payments, and you finally clear them, you just gave yourself an $800 a month raise without having to ask your boss for a dime. And finally, we arrive at rule number 5. This might be the most profound and overlooked rule in all of personal finance. You must design your life around the word enough. We are currently living in a culture that is absolutely obsessed with the concept of more. Everywhere you look, on Instagram, on television, on billboards, the message is the same. You need a bigger house. You need a faster, sleeker car. You need the newest smartphone with 3 cameras. You need a shinier watch. The fatal flaw in the pursuit of more is that the finish line is a mirage. It doesn't actually exist. The moment you achieve the goal you set, the moment you buy the thing you thought would finally make you happy, society steps in and moves the goalpost another 10 miles down the road. You upgrade your house, and suddenly you notice your neighbor has a nicer pool. You get a promotion, and suddenly you're hanging out with people who drive nicer cars. If you play the game of more, you will run on that treadmill forever, and you will die exhausted and unsatisfied. True financial stability, the kind that brings deep, lasting peace, is not about accumulating $1 billion. It is about taking a step back, looking inward, and clearly defining what your perfect, joyful, comfortable life actually looks like. Figure out exactly what brings you genuine happiness. Is it having time to read? Is it taking your kids to the park? Is it a modest home in a quiet neighborhood? Figure out how much that life costs. And once you hit that number, once you achieve that level of security, you do something incredibly rebellious. You stop moving the goalpost, you plant your flag in the ground, and you say, "This is it. This is my enough." When you truly understand what enough means for you, the urge to compete with your neighbors evaporates. You stop buying things you don't even care about, with money you barely have, just to impress people you don't even really like. You step off the treadmill. You finally find peace, and peace is the ultimate wealth. Before we wrap up this episode, let's take a quick moment to look back at the journey we just took. What are the core takeaways you should walk away with today? First, we learned that true wealth is found entirely in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. You must fight lifestyle creep at all costs. Second, we learned that idle cash loses its value to inflation over time, meaning you must put your money to work aggressively in high-yield savings and broad market index funds. Third, we established that building a 3 to 6 month emergency fund isn't an investment. It's the ultimate armor required to protect your future from inevitable disasters. Fourth, we exposed high-interest debt for what it really is, a thief of your future time. It must be eliminated with extreme prejudice. And finally, we uncovered the ultimate secret to lasting happiness, which is defining your own personal concept of enough, so you can finally stop chasing a finish line that constantly moves. Building a secure, wealthy life isn't a secret formula locked away in a vault reserved for the ultra-rich. It is entirely in your hands right now. It is simply about making rational, disciplined choices day after day, year after year. You don't have to fix everything overnight. Just start with one rule today, widen that gap. Give a few dollars a job. Cut up one credit card. Your future self, the version of you 20 years from now, is begging you to take that first step. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me today. I really appreciate you tuning in. If this episode brought you some value, if it sparked an idea or gave you a fresh perspective on your financial journey, please do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to ring the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Also, drop a comment down below. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was, or tell me what topics you want me to cover in future videos. I read the comments, and your feedback literally shapes this show. Keep learning, keep building your future, and I will see you in the next episode of Grow with Tony. Take care.